We'll get started with the script then. Pursuant to Chapter 2, the Acts of 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access this meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hands or otherwise signaling their intents to speak and be recognized by the chair. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of members. Please respond with present if you are on this call. Elise Mielowski.
Present.
Lucia Lopez.
Present.
Michael King.
Present.
Parker Happ is not here. Amna Dewan.
Present.
Peter Mimo.
Present.
Brian Johnson.
Present.
And Rob Benson, not present, right? Okay. We'll come back to board reorganization since we're waiting for Rob to join and we're expecting him. So I'll start off instead by just welcoming Brian to the board. Thanks for joining the board and volunteering your time to help shape the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes. Sorry, I didn't do staff. Staff, Vaneri Patel.
Present.
And Lori St. John?
No.
Okay. All right. So moving on to minutes. I didn't see any updates to the file. Did anybody have additions that were submitted after it was uploaded?
No, I did not receive any updates or not, Laurie.
Okay. In which case, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2026 as written.
So moved.
Second that.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Matthew, can I ask a question first?
Sure.
I was not a member of the board during the last meeting. Do I vote on this particular one or not?
You are eligible, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're eligible to vote on the administrative items.
For minutes, no, I would say.
Okay.
No, because he was not a part of the discussion, and yeah.
All
So
right.
for a safer side.
All right.
On the safer side.
Well, then I'm
Yeah.
abstaining from this voting. Thank you.
But he can take a part on the Asialo Drive discussion and the other for continuance.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. In which case, any other discussion on the minutes? Nope. All right. Roll call vote. Elise Mielowski.
Sorry, here. Yeah, yes.
Voting on the minutes.
Yeah, sorry, my Zoom went away. Yes, I vote yes.
Okay. Lucia.
Yes.
Michael King.
Yes.
Parker Happ is not here. Amna Dewan.
Yes.
Peter Mimo.
Yes.
Brian Johnson, we're skipping over. Rob Benson is not here, and I'm a yes. Okay. So Parker, as a private citizen, had brought the Osceola discussion. I am assuming that without him present, the board probably feels like it makes more sense to postpone this to a later meeting. Do I hear any objection? Okay.
To the chair, it's up to the board if board wants to discuss and then also continue, or without discussion if board wants to continue. We can have both options. Since Parker Happ is also the planning board member, I just want to point that out for record and for public.
I'd like to move that this discussion get moved to the next meeting without further discussion.
Okay, we have a first and a second, in which case, any discussion on the motion?
Do we need to vote on administrative items?
We wouldn't have, but we have a motion with a second, so we might as well go through it. Elise Mielowski,
Yeah.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ, not here. Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson.
Yes.
All right, and I am also a yes. The street acceptance process is interesting information for you to read. It's in the memo, but considering that the select board is going to be discussing this in exactly 24 hours and 1 minute, if their timeline is accurate tomorrow, I don't believe that it's prudent for us to discuss this right now either. Does anybody have objections to just continuing this later or coming back to it if it's relevant? Nope. Okay. Then we can move on. Unfortunately, I think the activity updates were also Parker. So we'll have to come back to that again.
To the
Okay.
chair.
Yep.
I will
Manir?
like to just give a brief update on what Economic Development Advisory Group is doing. So recently, EDC basically working on Hopkinton Economic Development Plan, and we had little meeting with residents and different group with like a select board, planning board members were there, economic development group were there, and Chamber of Commerce, and we discussed some action plans and strategy, like how we can make economic development plan better and all the strategies. I'm happy to share that information with the board member if everybody's interested. I'm not sure what else Parker wanted to discuss, but this is the little update I wanted to share with the board members on this.
So, if there's any other information that's relevant that you want to share, I know that we've talked a lot about how we can improve the environment for businesses in our town in terms of encouraging businesses to move in and help increase our commercial tax intake. So if there's any other information that you would want to share in Parker's absence, I think that would be of interest to the board.
Yeah. Let me quickly present or show you the strategies which Economic Development Group is working on currently. Give me a second. Can you all see my screen?
Yep. I can see that it started screen sharing. Now I can see the screen.
Okay. So basically, under our current Hopkinton Economic Development Plan, we do have 6 goals, and we have different action items, which we looked into it and who is responsible and how we can come up and the main reason for doing that action and strategy. So the first goal is to support and retain our existing business in the town. There are 2 strategies like how we can connect and provide different resources, and second is the advertise small businesses. The exercise we did recently with the public survey and the opinion, we came up with a few strategies and point of view from different town boards and committees, like how they think which strategies is important to focus on. Like, for example, I'm just going to take under the current situation of the business's existing situation. So the second strategy under first action item, connect with the business and provide resources, like basically how we can encourage current business owner to come to the town and what are the other options for them to increase their what we call marketing and opportunities. So that is one of the topic we discussed during that meeting. Second goal is to grow opportunity for community amenities, and there are 2 strategies. So each goal has like 2 action items and different purposes, like how we want to engage and involve with that under our action plan. Third is our attract new large businesses to fill the vacant industrial and office spaces. There are basically 4 strategies under that allow complementary use in the industrial, then build relationship with the property owner. The third strategy is the business establishment process, like that is where planning board and the economic development group can work together. And whenever it comes to us, like approving or reviewing site plan or minor site plan, depends upon the application and the project, and how we can involve that and help the business owner. The fourth strategy is to connect businesses to the program and properties. And the last is in this is support infrastructure investment. The fourth goal is to coordinate economic development functions. Basically, this is going to be under town managers and the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development to get involved and coordinate with the business owners. So this also has like 2 to 4 strategies under each goal. The fifth goal is to invest in emerging tourism industry. Again, we have like a center school development project is going on. Then how we can increase more tourists by maybe adding few more like bylaws or something which allow developer to build new stuffs or the cultural activities if anything is coming to planning side or to the town, basically. It also has like 3 strategies, and the last one we have is to improve transportation options. Currently, we had little discussion that there's a talk going on in the DPW side and the planning side to increase MARTA route. They are changing, so how that can help into our Hopkinton economic development plan, and our MBTA zoning, how that can help to increase in economic development. So these are the 6 strategies economic development group is working on. And yeah, if there's any other updates, Parker will cover in the next meeting, but this is the other main thing which recently town did. Happy to answer anything.
Could you go back to row
Oh, sure.
332, please?
Mm-hmm. You said 3-3.
3.3.2, I think is the one I saw. Because that one, I think the planning board was mentioned. Is it 3.3.3.3?
Yeah, 332 includes specific steps for. So I think there's a lot of here that is going to be of interest to us. One thing, especially as we start thinking about the town master plan, which was last updated in 2017, and that had been updated before in 2007 and taken a few years of planning and research before publishing it. So the next update is probably going to be a little bit longer than 10 years since we haven't started that work. One of the things that was in there was also micromobility improvements, which is mentioned here. And so I think it'd be really interesting to read this later. Is this available? Can you put this as a PDF in our folder, Aneri, so we can have access to it?
I think I added, and if it's not there, I can add after the meeting.
Yeah, I was curious what the
Ready.
specific steps for the planning board were for that would involve this. It may be too early to get into specifics, but I was wondering what the board was thinking about here, since it specifically mentioned the planning board.
Yep. It is also available on our economic development website, but happy to add in our shell folder so everybody can access this.
Is that still being developed? Is that a draft of what they want to produce, or are they still working on it?
So it's still currently like we are working on this. It's not the final version. We just had our meeting on this action item, like how we see and the different group, as I mentioned, like what is main priority as a town perspective in like under each goal. And for example, strategy 2 is important, or strategy 1 to look into, and what are the actions we can take
Yeah, I was just curious in that line what role you thought the planning board had in that. So,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Neri? No. Okay. Then we'll move on to our continued hearing. 75 South Street. I see that Mr. Lefebvre is on, or was on. So do you or do you have an update on where we are with that? Yeah, probably just hand over. Do you have an update on where we are?
Absolutely. Joe Marquardt out here, folks. Bear with me. I'm suffering through seasonal allergies, so I'll do my best. First of all, I want to start off by thanking the board. Appreciate your patience while we work through this. I anticipated syncing up the different board reviews. It would be a little more easier than it's turned out, but it has worked out. We were at the Conservation Commission at their last public hearing, and they approved the site plan that you have in front of you now, the 5/1/26 revision. They have issued an order of conditions for that. The bulk of the discussion was down in the southeasterly corner. They wanted some additional stormwater mitigation down there. We aren't changing the flow characteristics, but they wanted us, because we were a redevelopment project, to add something down in that corner to improve the situation. So we added a crushed stone strip, a vegetated filter strip with natural grasses, and then a rain garden, specialized soil media and plantings down in that corner. Updated all the calculations based on changes there, and the operation and maintenance protocols were updated for things like snow removal, mowing, what to do with the grass clippings. We got pretty specific with all that stuff. And then finally, the boundary line, there is an overlap where parking hangs over the southerly side to number 77. We have, to simplify this process, we have moved the limit of work to the boundary line. So we will not be operating outside the bounds of the parcel at number 75. So that was the focus of our discussions. The rest of the plan resembles what you saw before. No other changes except in those two spots. I do have the site plans. I can share my screen if folks want to dive into that in more detail.
That would be helpful, I think, to share your screen for where you were mentioning. And while you're pulling that up, Neri, is there any additional comment from staff?
No, I'm all set from my side. The revised plan meeting all the site plan conditions. Just to remind board that applicant did request a waiver for condition M, and there are no further comments from any other department as well. So
Okay.
we are
And
good from minor.
conservation is happy. Is
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, they got their order of condition. I mean, COMCOM issued the decision. So here.
And Neri, would it be possible if you would allow me to share?
Yeah. Just send me the request, sorry. And also to the chair, just for the record, Vice Chair Rob Benson joined the meeting at 7:20 p.m.
Thank you. And while that's coming up, Brian's eligible to discuss but not vote, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I believe everybody else here is also eligible to vote. Okay.
The error message is the host has disabled attendee screen sharing.
Do you mind sending again, Joe? Because I did not receive any request. Or do you want me to share the plans?
Yeah, if you would.
Yeah, sure.
It's the erosion and sedimentation control plan.
Yep.
Sheet 6, maybe.
Mm-hmm. You said C6.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of info on that sedimentation control plan. Yeah, that one. Yes, please.
Okay, and you were talking about the parking lot in the southern side, right?
Yeah, the southern side. So along that southerly boundary line, the common line was 77. That is now our limit of work. You know, you can
Okay.
see the parking places hang over the boundary line. And allows us to move forward without involving that property owner. And then to the east, parallel with 495 down that same corner, there's a stone strip at the edge of the pavement to filter the water, travels over a grass strip with native grass and falls into that rain garden, and then leaves and heads easterly towards the highway, towards that wetlands area. So those are the changes down in that corner. The rest of the site plan is unchanged.
Any questions or comments from anyone on the board? I don't see any comments, questions. Lucia?
I wasn't here at the last meeting where this was discussed, and I apologize for that. At an unexpected situation to deal with. But I know the discussion and watching back about the sidewalks happened then, and it sounded like most people were in favor of granting the waiver for the sidewalks. And in listening to the discussion, I think I agree some of the comments that were made in terms of a sidewalk to nowhere, in terms of the Hayward Street side, because I don't foresee 495 disappearing anytime soon. So that would be a sidewalk to nowhere, in my opinion. I do think that there is an opportunity to do what comes up at these meetings often in terms of being more forward thinking rather than reactionary on the South Street side. And I don't think it requires the applicant to build the sidewalk, but I think this was something that initially was suggested by Carrie, is potentially providing an easement for in the future if we're looking to do a sidewalk on that side of South Street. Then DPW could not only add the sidewalk, but then also add a crosswalk to get from those businesses to the other side of South Street and the businesses on South Street in Hayward. So I just wanted to bring that up as a possible option for the board to discuss.
Thank you, Lucia. Any other comments from the board, either on what Lucia said or this current application? Joe or Lance, do you have any feedback on the idea of including an easement as part of this project? What's your thought on that?
Joe, you and I have talked about it a bit. I will defer to you, but Lucia, I hear you. I'm from Vermont. I'm from a very generous neighborhood. What I've witnessed out there is that across the street is a perfectly viable sidewalk where the bus actually goes. And I've seen a crosswalk that already exists to where the food bank is now. And I mean, I'm really excited to be part of this community, and I'm really excited to contribute to the community. I'm excited to improve our property. One thing we haven't talked about in these meetings, and maybe this is the right time, is that we're spending over 7 figures in environmental and cleanup to clean the former sins of the prior owner, which we're optimistic that is going to make the property better and the whole area better. I don't see how, I mean, the easement isn't that big a deal to me. However, I don't see how conceding an easement would improve the area. We have a beautiful sidewalk across the street. So, could you tell me how you think an easement on our side would enhance the existing sidewalk that exists on the other side of the street?
So I think the DPW's feedback and previous commentary from people in the area have been that haven't felt safe walking along that side to get to Project Just Because, for instance, and so people are driving even if they just live over near the lake or Osceola because there isn't a feeling of that it's safe to walk along the side that Project Just Because is on from the traffic light on.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the thought that's going to that.
Okay, I hear that, and I mean I'm not going to belabor it, but I guess I don't understand. When you walk in front of Dunkin' Donuts, that's where the bus goes. That's where the sidewalk is. So I'm not a resident, although we have a business just down the street.
Yep.
Because
So I think people have thought,
okay.
or I'll defer to Lucia, has a comment.
Yeah.
So actually, when I was on Hayward and South Street for a separate hearing that we had to go look at a house that burned down, as I was sitting at that light, I actually saw, I'm assuming it was one of the employees from one of the businesses there jump across as the light was switching, and that to me felt very unsafe. I do agree that I think it makes sense to have a sidewalk there if there are people from the neighboring businesses who are having to like dart across the street in order to get to the restaurants. And I think just thinking towards the future, if there are more businesses there and there are more sidewalks along that side in the future, then people would be able to travel between businesses more easily, more safely. And I don't think this is an immediate, in the next year or two,
Yeah, no,
but just in terms of as a possibility for the future.
I mean, I guess I don't. So we have a landscape company, yeah, and we have us, yeah, and then we have the food bank, who's a leaseor for a period of time, who has a crossing sidewalk there, and it's not an argument. I think we're going to be fine either way. But I tell me again, I don't see it. So who's jumping across the street?
So presumably it was workers in that area, but I don't think
past us or
coming from Hayward, so it would have been from 135 area from Main Street so north.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it back to the board if anybody has other thoughts on either the sidewalk discussion or anything else about this project from the members of the board.
So, this is Brian.
Mr. Johnson, yeah.
Thank you. In the very short term, there's probably not much of a difference. I do know that in a longer term, I think the goal is to have an unbroken sidewalk on that side of the street. And I think, part of that goal is that as changes are made to each property, the goal is to put in a sidewalk at that time. I understand that there is a issue with the grading, and that's why the permit or the waiver, I forget what it's called, is being sought now. And so the easement would let the town do that later. So if the town's doing that, I believe that's at no cost to the business if the town's going to use the easement and do that later. So from the short-term issue, it's either or, and it makes not a whole lot of difference. But I think from a larger term perspective, I know one of the things is there is a plan to have more sidewalks on both sides of the street at some point in the future.
And I'm going to ask you is what is our options in terms of conditioning an easement here for the waiver? Is that something that would be a potential?
First, for the easement, we also need to take a look if town is ready to take a easement or not. Not just on thought of planning board, and what are the DPW's plan for the sidewalk in the future, if they are including or not. The plan Lucia and Brian just mentioned, I did not see anything. It's just, yes, Carrie did mention about the sidewalk in her initial comments. She suggested that if applicant is willing, like, let planning board know that if applicant can do it. From applicant's standpoint and the document they presented, they requested waiver on the minor site plan requirements. So for the easement specific, I cannot say that. I mean, we can add the condition unless until we clarify with the town manager's office, like if town is ready to accept an easement or willing to do the work, because even with the easement, we're just going to have that part of the property under the easement, not from the other business owner next to it. So
To the applicant, sorry, was there other?
No.
All right. To the applicant, I assume that given that you've resolved everything with conservation, that you're looking for a decision tonight, right?
I mean, we're excited to be in Hopkinton. We're excited to advance our business. We'd like a decision.
Okay.
And Joe knows the process in Hopkinton better than I do, and you all do, for sure.
Right.
So
any comments from there haven't been a lot of comments from the board, from voting members in terms of questions about the waiver or not. Rob?
Thanks, Matthew. Is there any new information? I know I joined late, but is there any new information tonight?
The update is that there's been some plans, I think that's when you joined in, that were updated in the discussion with the Conservation Commission, and that they have gotten sign off from Concom.
Okay. And for my one more through the chair, from my recollection, we took a straw poll that we were generally okay with the waiver of the sidewalk.
I believe that was the case, yes. So I'm checking to see if anybody has any other comments on it, or if people feel like we're ready to move to a vote on the waiver, or if any of the discussion that's been raised changes that.
Okay, and so one more comment through the chair. It'd be I don't think it'd be in good faith if we reverted our thinking, unless without any new information.
Lucia wasn't here for that, and she raised the discussion point. So
Okay.
That's what's changed up.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else on the board have anything discussed, or should we go to a vote on the waiver? I'm not really hearing a lot of other comments. Okay. So I probably makes sense to start with the waiver motion. If somebody would like to make a waiver, that the board grant the applicant's requested waiver from site plan standard 210-136.1M, which requires sidewalks along the full frontage of the subject property upon finding that sidewalk construction is not feasible or practical based on site conditions.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. With a motion and a second, we'll move to roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Smielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
No.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ is not
I'm
here
present.
still. Oh, you are. Okay. Were you here sufficiently long enough to vote on this, do you feel?
No, I abstain.
Okay. Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson's not eligible, and I'm a yes, which puts this at was that 611? And so that the waiver is granted. Are there any other discussions on the project, or I can read the findings?
No discussion here.
Okay. So I'll read the findings and the conditions. Proposed findings in 2.9.1, minor project site plan. The proposed minor project site plan meets the applicable site plan standards set forth in 210-136.1 of the zoning bylaws, with the exception of standard 210-136.1M regarding sidewalk construction along the full frontage. The applicant has requested a waiver from the standard, and the board may grant such a waiver upon finding the sidewalk construction is not feasible or practical based on site conditions. The proposed work is limited to previously disturbed areas, results in no net increase in impervious surface, and meets the applicable criteria related to site disturbance, utilities, circulation, screening, lighting, and stormwater management. All other site plan standards are satisfied. Moving on to conditions, 210.1. Sure, that's the right section, right? Yes. Administrative pre-construction. 1. The proposed development shall be constructed as depicted on and consistent with the approved materials, unless these materials are required to be amended or modified as part of the decision, which includes A, plans entitled Construction Plans, Site Improvements at 75 South Street, Hopkinton, Mass. 01748, prepared by J.D. Marquinot and Associates, Inc., dated 10/12/2025, and revised 3/30/2026, 4/15/2026, and 5/1/2026. 2. The Director of Municipal Inspections inspects projects under construction for compliance with the approved decision of site plan review. This includes the driveway/roadway and infrastructure construction based on the plan, if applicable. If the Director of Municipal Inspections determines at any time before or during construction that a registered professional engineer or other such outside professional is required to assist with the inspections of the stormwater management system or any other component of the site plan, the applicant shall be responsible for the cost of those inspections. 3. The applicant/developer shall provide the principal planner with a project point of contact and contact information prior to the issuance of a building permit. This point of contact information shall be kept current through correspondence to the principal planner until the final certificate of occupancy is issued or construction is otherwise considered complete. 4. A completed signed construction management plan shall be submitted to the planning board prior to the commencement of any site work. The applicant shall also submit a complete final revised plan set, which incorporates all the modifications made during the public hearing process and any required in this decision. 5. A completed signed long-term operation and maintenance plan dated 11/05/2025 and revised 4/10/2026 and 4/28/2026 shall be submitted to the planning board prior to the commencement of construction. This can be combined with the construction management plan if preferred by the applicant. 6. A signed illicit discharge statement shall be provided to the planning board prior to construction. 7. The planning board shall receive a sign-off confirming that the site contractor and any major subcontractors have received the construction management plan prior to the commencement of any site work. Construction period. 8. All construction activities shall adhere to applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations regarding noise, vibration, dust, sedimentation, and use of, interference with, or blocking of town roads. 9. The applicant shall be responsible for mitigating all construction-related impacts, including erosion, siltation, and dust control. The applicant shall maintain all portions of any public way used for construction access free of soil, mud, or debris deposited due to use by construction vehicles associated with the project, and shall regularly sweep such areas as directed by the Director of Municipal Inspections in consultation with the Department of Public Works Director. 10. The applicant shall regularly remove construction trash and debris from the site in accordance with good construction practice and the construction management plan. No tree stumps, demolition material, trash, or debris shall be burned or buried on the site. 11. If construction is not commenced within 3 years of the date of filing of the site plan decision with the town clerk, approval shall be automatically rescinded unless such time is extended by the board. For the purposes of this condition, the term commenced shall mean commencement of site work. 12. Construction may occur only between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. pursuant to Chapter 141, Article 1 of the Town of Hopkinton General Bylaws. 13. Erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be implemented during the construction period in accordance with the approved site plan and the construction management plan. If they are found to be inadequate, the applicant shall immediately correct any deficiencies. Post-construction ongoing. 14. All exterior lighting within the development project, whether shown on the approved site plan or required by Massachusetts State Building Code, shall be shielded, directed downward and not upward or outward, and shall not spill onto adjacent property. 15. All fixed mechanical equipment on the site shall be screened from the view from the ground. Such screening shall be sufficient in the opinion of the Director of Municipal Inspections. 16. The applicant shall submit final as-built plans to the planning board prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. This as-built submission shall include an as-built drawing that depicts the as-built mean grade and the elevation of the highest point of the roof. This plan shall be stamped by a registered land surveyor. 17. The applicant shall provide the principal planner with an as-built plan prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the facility. Having read that, I would entertain a motion that the board accept and approve the findings as previously read aloud for the minor project site plan application.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
and myself is a yes, and Brian's not eligible. Okay. And finally, we get down to, wait. Yes, there we go. Finally, we get down to approval. So I would accept a motion that the board approve the minor project site plan with the conditions as they were previously read aloud by the meeting chair.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. So I believe that is it for this hearing. Anything else from the applicant?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. In which case, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson's, I don't think is eligible to vote on that, so myself is also a yes. Okay, let's go back to the top of the meeting then. Now that we have a full board, let's take advantage of that and deal with the reorganization. Do we have nominations for chair?
I'd like to take this opportunity to nominate Matthew Ronker for chair.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing nothing, nobody else, I would entertain a motion to appoint Matthew Vronka as chair for the planning board.
So moved. Yes.
Second. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
and Brian Johnson.
Yes.
It's your actually not your first vote, right? Because we did one for the administrative item earlier.
That's correct.
All right. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Lucia for vice chair.
I'll
Do we have
second.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay.
Nominate Parker.
Do we have a second for Parker?
I'll second that.
Okay. Anybody else? Lucia and Parker, are you both willing to be vice chair? Lucia?
Yes.
Okay. Parker, would you be willing to be vice chair?
I definitely am honored for the nomination. Thanks.
Okay. So let's do a poll, I guess, if there's no other nominations. Go around and either pick Lucia or Parker or abstain, I suppose, would be other choice. Rob,
I'm gonna go Parker.
Elise,
Lucia.
Lucia,
Lucia.
Michael,
I think both would do a great job. I'm going to go Lucia this time.
Parker. You know, vote for yourself.
I didn't expect the nomination. I was honestly going to vote for Lucia, but some folks say if you don't think you're good enough for the job to vote yourself, then you shouldn't accept the job. So I'm going to say myself.
Okay. And Brian?
Boy, it's a tough one because I'm brand new, but I thought I'll go with Lucia.
Okay. I would also go with Lucia.
Do I get a vote?
Oh, how did I skip over you?
I don't know.
Me and
No, you don't get a vote. Peter.
I share Michael's sentiment. I think it's an embarrassment of riches, but I would go with Lucia.
Yeah, and I appreciate that we actually have a contested vice chair election this year, and people are very interested. I'm sure there's a lot that we have to manage this year. So let's keep all that energy and excitement going throughout the year. But it sounds like did I? Oh, did I just go? Oh, I think it's okay. Just went from Parker to Brian.
Yes, Lucia.
Yeah. Man, this isn't starting great so well. That's what happens when we go out of order. All right. So the numbers were for Lucia then. So I'd entertain a motion to appoint Lucia as vice chair of the planning board.
So
Oh, second. Sorry.
Was Elise the one who made the motion?
I think so. I heard a female.
Okay. And Michael was second?
Yeah.
Okay. So roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Rob Benson, yes.
Elise Mielowski,
yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson,
Yes.
Matthew Vronka, yes. All right, and I caught everybody that time. Thank you. All right. Moving back on the agenda, we have a new public hearing to open. I put all my notes away. Okay. So we have two public hearings, both for Eversource. So I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 55 Wilson Street, Eversource, Stormwater Management Permit, LNG Impoundment Resilience Project.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay. Roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. First new hearing, and then I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 55 Wilson Street, Eversource Earth Removal Permit, LNG Impoundment Resilience Project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Rob Benson,
Yes.
Elise Mielowski,
Yes.
Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Peter Mimo,
Yes.
Brian Johnson,
Yes.
and I am a yes. All right. Do we have the applicant on? And would the applicant like to share an overview of the project?
Hi, everyone. Tim Grace, excuse me, from Ty and Bond. I am here on behalf of Eversource in support of the stormwater management and earth removal permit for this project. Can I share my screen? Is that okay? Request has been sent. Okay, can everybody see this?
Coming through slowly on myself.
Yeah, I see that it's starting to share. Seems like it takes a second. There it goes.
Perfect. Okay, so like I said earlier, here on behalf of Eversource, this project is located on 55 Wilson Street. It's their existing LNG facility just west of Wilson Street and just south of Rafferty Road. The project in and of itself is essentially a climate resiliency project. As climate change gets worse, public utility providers are forced to safeguard a lot of their infrastructure from the increasingly frequent rain events that are happening at these facilities. And the scope of work is essentially limited to within this existing disturbed area where the tanks are, basically regrading and armoring the existing slopes. So peeling some of the fill material away and putting down a geogrid or a geocell product. For those that aren't familiar, I can pull up a picture real quick. This is essentially what a geocell looks like. It's a woven or non-woven, they make both, geosynthetic material that you put down and then you can fill it with grass, gravel, stone products, and it's meant to basically mechanically stabilize embankments. And so on the existing site, I'll pull up the site plans, the stormwater runoff basically runs in any direction it can. There is no centralized stormwater management system to deal with runoff from this area. So this...
Excuse me, are we supposed to be showing something?
Oh,
Yeah, it's currently showing like just a pattern background with a hand.
Interesting. All right, let's try this again. How about now? Let me know when you folks can see it.
Yep.
Beautiful. Sorry, I've got that annoying cold that's going around. So essentially, this is the project. Regrading around the existing tanks and then the installation of perforated pipe and a few stormwater control features. Under existing conditions, all of the stormwater runoff heads into the existing earth impoundment here. It's going to continue to do that under proposed conditions as well. What we're basically doing is installing perforated pipe and stormwater management features within the existing disturbed area. And then rather than putting down just regular gravel, we're going to mechanically stabilize the earth around the tanks to, like I said, mitigate increasingly frequent and stronger storm events that we're seeing in this region. The only comment we've received from the town thus far was from the fire department, and they wanted to make sure that their apparatus, their heaviest apparatus, so their ladder, could get out there and potentially do a rescue if somebody was stuck on the top of the tank. And so their concern was that the material that was going to be put down there was structurally sound enough so that they could navigate one of their heaviest pieces of equipment out there. And it can. That's basically one of the reasons people install these geosynthetic stabilizers, is so that you can disperse heavy vehicle weights. Fire departments a lot of the times will require, if a subdivision is being put in, they'll stabilize the cul-de-sac or the front yards of the people that abut the cul-de-sac with a product like this to make sure that their apparatus can navigate and not, get stuck or rut out any of the areas. And that's basically what we're doing here. I can show you on the next sheet. I think it's the next one. So you see on this sheet anyway, there's a series of perforated pipes and perforated drains that are going to run throughout the site to better collect and manage the runoff, so that essentially it's not a free-for-all when it rains. There'll be discrete areas that can collect the stormwater runoff. There'll be some measure of TSS treatment as well from the sumps on a lot of the drainage structures that are being installed. And the other piece, this mechanical stabilization, you can see in this image here, these hatched areas are basically all geocell reinforcement. So like I said, before the, once everything's buried, the final cover, before they put any of that material down, they put the geocell down first, and then they backfill with modified rock fill, I think is the Mass DOT term, but it's basically a heavier, chunkier stone that can accept the weight of heavy vehicles. Like I said, at its core, this is a climate resiliency project. We're not adding any impervious area. We're not really building anything. We're essentially just regrading the area around those tanks. But because the threshold for a stormwater management permit is 1 acre, and we are disturbing more than that, we're here for the stormwater management permit. The earthwork removal threshold, I think, in Hopkinton is 500 cubic yards. To be honest, I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that as far as net export, but we decided to seek a earth removal permit in case something does come up. We'd rather have one than find out that we need one later on and have to come back to the board. I will say the intent here, and the intent usually is on Eversource sites and Eversource facilities, is not to export any material. They like to reuse it on site. Eversource has a very, very strict testing procedure for soil export, so far in excess of any other regulations that the state or the federal government has for testing soil. So it turns out to be a very expensive process if they want to export anything, due mainly to their own rules and regulations. So what they typically do is when they do a project like this, they try to lose the earth elsewhere on the parcel. There are tons of areas. I mean, this is a 51.5 acre parcel. I don't think they're going to be moving much because, like I said, it's a regrading, but they're going to do their best to keep everything on site. But like I said, if the time comes that they need a earth removal permit, we will have one, hence the reason for our application here. And that is basically it. That's the long and short of the project. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
All right, thank you. Aneri, do we have a staff report?
Yes, team already mentioned about the comments from fire and from planning side. I already mentioned, and he covers as well. It's in the existing regrading involves and slope stabilization, and when it comes to the earth permit, they are applying for a safer side, so they are good from staff review. Park Corporation is our peer reviewer for this project for SMPN as well as for earth permit. They're gonna do their site visit. We're going to get their report after that.
Okay. Do we know what the timeline looks like for that? Just sometime before next meeting?
Yep. So we're meeting PAR out there. I think it's Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
So we should have a report from them within a few weeks after that, I'd expect.
Usually they are pretty quick, Chair. So by next meeting, we're going to have PAR report, I'm guessing.
Any questions from the members of the board?
Just one to the chair, if that's okay.
Peter?
Was there a particular event or something that triggered this project that caused, apart from just the general sort of erosion, was there a particular event or something that triggered this particular project at all that we should be aware of?
No, this is just part of the, I don't want to say regular maintenance. This is, Eversource has a number of climate resiliency goals, I'll say, across all of their facilities. And given the nature of this facility and the size of these tanks that are sitting out there, this is one of the higher priority areas for stabilization against climate change. So I don't think it's any particular event. It's just that the nature of this facility and the size of this project, this is one of the higher priority areas for them.
Thank you. And then through the chair, if I may, when was the last time this was done, and when can we expect to have to consider such a plan like this again in the future? Do you have any idea?
So it was probably never done. When you look at the material out there, none of it's native. It's all fill. But it was put down probably when the foundations of these tanks were constructed. And then over the years, if there were washout in one area or another, they would just, do the classic dump stabilization material, Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. And I think, frankly, they're just sick of doing it. And so they decided to just take a comprehensive approach on a number of their facilities, but the Hopkinton facility specifically.
What makes it, why specifically the Hopkinton one?
The size of the tank, I mean, most facilities that they operate have one, maybe two tanks. This is, I think, one of the few facilities that has 3 LNG tanks at it. And probably the age of the facility, I venture to guess that this is one of their older sites. So it was probably a higher priority site, given that there's 3 tanks and not just one. I mean, Easton is one, Acushnet is one. 1 or 2 is more typical. This is probably one of the largest.
Oh, Lucia?
Through the chair, I had 2 questions. I think probably for Aniri. There is no bond amount. Is that something that we're going to get after the PAR review?
Yes, we're gonna get after the PAR.
Okay, and then the second question was, in reading the materials, it talked about a photographic survey of Wilson Street and Cedar Street. Is Legacy Farms North not included in that?
No, because of the acre of the land, Legacy Farm, we missed with the radius, 300 radius, so we did not reach the Legacy Farm. So based on
that's closer to Cedar Street than it is to Legacy Farms North?
Yep. As per our assessor aperture list, we almost there, but we did not touch the Legacy Farm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
So, yeah, I know there's 2 entrances to the facility. There's one on Wilson Street and one on Legacy Farms Road, or Rafferty Road, I think is what it's on the map. Which entrance will the construction vehicles be using? I'm guessing it's Rafferty Road.
No, it would be the Wilson Street.
Wilson Street? Okay.
Likely be Wilson Street, yep.
Okay. And in one of the documents that was filed, and I'm sorry, I forget which of them, because they're all linked together in the PDF I looked at. There's a phrase that said the applicant shall submit a photographic survey of Wilson Street and Cedar Street in the vicinity of the project prior to and upon completion of the earthwork. Why was Rafferty Street not included in that photographic survey? I would think that with all the vehicles, that would be a part of the photographic survey.
Aniri?
Based on the plan I reviewed, I only thought about the Wilson Street and Cedar Street, so that's why these 2 streets are mentioned. If board thinks that we should add that, we can add in the condition. I think, Brian, you're talking about the one of the condition which I added under the earth permit.
Yeah,
you're talking about. So if board thinks we should add, we can modify.
I would think adding Rafferty Road would make sense to add photographic survey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Any other feedback from the board at this moment? This is a large site. Is it safe to do a site walk around here? And what do people feel like for a site walk? Probably for the applicant. How would we manage to do a site walk around here?
So I know you guys have done site walks out here previously. I'm not 100% sure. I would have to check with the Eversource folks. I'm pretty sure it's okay.
Okay.
This is within the secure perimeter. So besides chaperones, I think the only other thing we would need would be to enter this facility, you need to have FR, or flame retardant clothing. So I think we would have to coordinate that with Eversource as well. Yeah, I can't opine on the specifics of it. Like I said, I know the planning board has been out there before. Board of Health is out there fairly frequently for septic stuff, so it can absolutely be done. But I would just have to check with the Eversource team and figure out exactly the logistics of that. So I can do that and get back to you.
Okay. Does the board feel like it would be helpful, given this is not the type of thing that we usually look at, to take a look at the property somewhere between the meetings?
Yeah, I think it would be useful.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. It seems impractical to schedule a site walk without understanding Eversource's schedule. Would it make sense to, if we're going to continue this to our next meeting, you could come back, get back to an area before then, or come back to us next meeting, and if either of the subsequent 2 Saturdays would work for a chaperone? Does that make sense?
Yep. So Saturdays are best. Is that what you're saying?
Saturday mornings are usually when we do our site walks.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm out there Wednesday morning with the peer reviewer. So what I can do while I'm there is talk to the security folks and the chaperones and figure out logistics for this. And then I don't know if this Saturday is too soon. It would have to be the following Saturday, but I'm sure we can do something to accommodate you guys.
Okay. If you think we'd have an answer, does it well, so the part of it is like we would need to communicate to the public as well. That might be an issue with this. There isn't a practical way to do that, right? Aneri, if we're going to do this intra meeting, we probably need to kind of figure out between the next 2, when we would do this for the next meeting, so it'd be publicly available. Or is there a better way to announce this? Yeah. So we'd be looking at, was it the 22nd? Is that a Saturday?
Through the chair.
Yes, Lucia.
Can I suggest a potential solution if we wanted to schedule that before the next meeting?
What's the potential solution?
If we schedule it and put it on the town calendar and cancel it, if it's not something so it can be on the town calendar and say canceled if it's something that can't be scheduled. It's just throwing out an option.
20th would be the Saturday. Yeah. So one option, if we had an idea of what time would work for the chaperone, would be saying like 9 a.m. on the 13th. I think my concern is if 9 a.m. doesn't work for them, that they'd have to shift the time. I don't leave it to the applicant if it makes sense to kind of pencil in 9 a.m. or some other time on the 13th.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's say 9 a.m. on the 13th. And maybe if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I would think, I mean, that's a week from this Saturday. We should be able to pull something together.
Okay. Does that work for everybody on the board?
I would, to the chair, I'd only point out, I believe that's the same day or weekend as the Timlin race, just pointing that out.
Is there a better time on that Saturday, or should we try and do the subsequent week anyway? I'm not sure what the impact on the schedule there is. Peter?
I don't know if there's a better one, and to the extent that that week works best for the rest of the board, that's fine. I just in terms of logistics or whatnot, I don't know if that's a problem, but it's a community event, so I just want to point that out.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull my calendar up. Would just scheduling for the 20th work for the applicant? That would also allow us to announce it during the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So 9 a.m. on the 20th, and if that doesn't work, we'll reschedule next meeting.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Aneri?
just to point out, that's going to be Juneteenth weekend. So I don't know what's going to be scheduled, but I'm just letting board member know. I mean, I'm not able to join during that weekend, but if everybody, all the board members able to, we can still continue.
How's the board feel? Is anybody going away for that weekend?
I would be able to make it if we did it on the 20th.
Yeah,
Anybody on the board? Sorry.
I can do the 20th, not the 13th.
Okay.
20th works for me too.
Okay. Does that work for the applicant? Do they have any issues with Juneteenth weekend?
Nope, I don't think that's an issue at all. How many people are we talking here, just so I can relay that back?
So we have 9 board members. Not everybody shows up all the time. Technically, the site walks are intended to be open to the public. So there could be other people that would show up. And so we'd have to understand if there are what the complications are if more people showed up. So
okay. Let me regroup with Eversource and see, because there are, I think there are X amount of people requires X amount of chaperones, plus there's gas monitors, FR clothing for everybody. I know they have a finite amount of smocks, like FR smocks that you could wear. But I just got to make sure that, if we plan for 9 to 15 or whatever, if that's a problem or not. But I can regroup and get back to you.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about next meeting if there's issues that we need to figure out logistics for then.
Matthew,
Rob,
through the chair, is I don't know if it's technically possible to have any public members from the public, if they wanted to join, not go in any type of restricted area or see whatever they can see from some kind of area doesn't require the same level of gear and approvals. I haven't come across this in my time on the board, so I don't know what we can do.
I would defer to Aniri on that, but also I think it would be helpful to understand whatever sources concerns on the logistics are before we figure out what we would need to do to make it work. Sorry, Aniri, did you have feedback?
No, to the chair. I will let team talk to Eversource first before saying that usually we sometimes public join during the sidewalk, sometimes not. So, but let's figure it out if 20 works for everybody and then see how it goes for. And I think in meantime, we're going to have our part report as well. So we're going to get a better understanding and idea for the site visit.
So penciled in for the 20th at 9. We'll verify that next meeting based on what we hear from the applicant. We need to continue this if there's no other topics to discuss. Anybody have anything else before we entertain a motion to continue and move decision deadlines?
Through the chair, we need to move the stormwater decision deadline. We are good with the earth permit removal. So
what's a good date for the stormwater? Shall we just make them both July 14th just for simplicity, or is there an issue with that?
Yes, I was going to say that July 14th is the best option.
Okay. So unless there's any other discussion from the board or the applicant, I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 55 Wilson Street, Eversource Stormwater Management permit, and move the decision deadline to July 14th. Continue it to the June 14th. Is that the meeting?
No,
15th, June 15th meeting.
Through the chair, the decision deadline is going to be July 14th, and the next hearing gonna be on June 15th.
Yep. So I'd entertain a motion to move the hearing, continue the hearing to the June 15th meeting and extend the decision deadline for the stormwater management to July 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. I'm going to go down my Zoom roster. Brian Johnson.
Yes.
Lucia Lopez.
Yes.
Michael King.
Yes.
Parker Happ.
Yes.
Peter's iPhone. Peter Mimo.
Yes. My iPhone.
Robert Benson.
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Elise Milowski,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay. And then I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 55 Wilson Street Eversource earth removal permit to the the June 15th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Lucia Lopez,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Robert Benson,
Yes.
Amna Dewan,
Yes.
Brian Johnson,
Yes.
Elise Milowski,
Yes.
and Peter Mimo.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. We'll see you back in the next meeting and look forward to the report.
Great.
Believe that is the end of the agenda since we formally moved to continue or moved the Osceola discussion till next meeting. Any topics that people want to suggest for future meetings while we're here?
Through the chair.
Yep.
I just want to suggest the board member, if anybody would like to join tomorrow night during select board hearing, please, if you can, please join. It's going to be a good discussion on street acceptance. Select board chair and the town manager are going to present updates and the process.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's fairly early on their schedule. I think it's scheduled for 7:10, but I would suggest trying to dial in or show up a little bit before that. Parker?
Did we table economic development advisory board discussion too?
So Aniri gave an overview of some of the update. Is there so I don't want to repeat everything that she covered. She showed us some slides of some of the topics that were being discussed. Was there something specific that you wanted to convey to the board, or do you want to kind of review what was already shared and we could?
It's really the topic, future topics discussion.
Okay.
Without knowing it exactly what Aniri said, sitting on economic development advisory board, what I've seen is that we have an issue with the residential tax base and tax burden continuing to increase while there's been a decrease in the overall commercial tax base. And when we had the economic development advisory forum, there was a real sentiment at the table that I was at that, we need to do things in order to grow our commercial tax base. I fundamentally believe that we need to review our zoning. We need to update our use table, and we need to evaluate how we are going to do a better job at identifying pockets and areas within the town that can allow for organic business growth. I don't see why there isn't a reason we shouldn't have, more commercial over by Legacy Farm, but pick these spots and find ways to expand our map to help offset some of the residential tax burden. So it's something that I believe we should be considering for the future.
Were there specific areas that you guys were talking about that would be worth kind of sharing a map of in a future meeting to kick off that discussion?
Yeah, we could have a map. It's very simple, really. We've been looking at South Street, downtown, and then I believe by Legacy Farms as well, the T-stop adjacent to Southborough. And I believe that we should be also looking at Lumber Street.
Yeah. Took a note. I think that's something that's definitely worth reviewing down the road.
Through the chair, can I ask one question? Since
Rob.
Parker's on the board. Has the Economic Development Advisory Board looked at how much commercial property would need to be assessed at to impact, say, someone's tax bill like 1%? Like if the average tax bill is about $14,000 in Hopkinton, to impact at $140, how, I know the answer, so I'm asking the question, but does the Economic Development Advisory Board know the answer?
Yeah, so the answer has been socialized. I think the one way to look at it in pure dollar and cents is to evaluate the calculation as you are quantifying it. I look at it a little bit different way. I look at it as the property tax liabilities. Imagine like one big waterbed. Okay. And what's happened is we've seen the appreciation in residential tax rates, which means that as a raw dollar amount that's going to continue to increase as the competitiveness of our housing market and people wanting to get into Hopkinton continues to go up. Meanwhile, we've seen a appreciative decrease in the overall commercial liability, and you're seeing properties like along South Street, for example, that sold 10 years ago for 22 million, now reset for 12 million, and they're coming back on the market. And what that's going to do in overall cost dollars is continue to shift that inverse. So we as a board can only control what we can control and continue to create the conditions for businesses to want to come in. It's not necessarily our scope and purview to set what the overall tax rate is, but I believe that in town there should be a consideration of decoupling the residential to commercial, but we should be continuing to find ways to expand. But at the current rate, Rob, you are right. The attributable increase or tax relief that individuals would see just by zoning itself would not be significant.
Yeah, it's through the chair. This topic really, I think, is not well understood amongst the people of town. It would require a tremendous amount of commercial development to impact people's tax bills in a meaningful way. Like we need something on the order of about $70 million in commercial assessed value to impact people's property taxes by 1%. So if you want to reduce someone's $14,000 mortgage by 10%, by $1,400, you need $700 million of commercial assessed property. I think the more people understand, the better.
Thank you, Rob.
Through the chair,
Peter?
it seemed to me that I would agree with a lot of the comments that were made here, but it would seem to me that increasing commercial development, the end should not be simply a matter of or calculus of how much we're reducing the overall residential tax rate, as laudable as a goal that may be. It seems to me that if we have available commercial opportunities that we're not taking full advantage of as a town, we have to take a look at to see whether or not we as a planning board can remove some of those obstacles so we can make the best beneficial use of our commercial space. And I think it's to our benefit to do so, even though it may not necessarily decrease overall resident property taxes by 1%. It may, perhaps down the line, maybe we're not going to town meeting asking for another override because, well, we've increased the commercial tax rate just a little bit and increased the commercial tax revenue because of it. And on top of it all, we're meeting a particular need of the community to have commercial-like services, repurposing buildings. For instance, having a former manufacturing facility now become a warehouse and a commercial space, which we just approved earlier this evening. So there's certainly that should not be the end all. But to Rob's point, I mean, I do think that the expectation should be made out there to the residents that, yes, we're going to hopefully look at this, but no, you're not going to see a marked decrease in your residential taxes. It's not going to happen very likely.
Thank you, Peter. Any other comments on the Economic Development Advisory Board update?
To the chair.
Yes, Samna.
Just a question. Do we tax commercial properties at the same rate that we tax residential properties? Because I know there are some towns that have different tax rates for businesses versus property owners. Not sure if that'll make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, but just curious.
Parker?
We do not have a split tax.
Right. It's something that's been raised. It would fall under the select board, and then I believe it would have to go through town meeting, but I'm not 100% sure of the process of setting the tax rate.
Through the chair, the select board gets an opportunity to vote on that every year, but they have never, to my knowledge, done a different tax rate for commercial versus residential.
And through the chair, the assessors have a classification tax hearing every year around November where that topic is raised, and ever since I've been on the board, it's never been taken up really as a viable option by the select board.
Yeah. Parker, do you have another follow-up, or is that still the same hand?
No, it's a different topic, but Lucy, if yours is pertaining to this topic, then go ahead.
Lucia?
So something that I think is important is that we're talking about increasing commercial activity now, whereas in the past decade plus, I feel like we've done the opposite as a town. Legacy Farms North did have a section of it that was meant to be commercial, and we as a town voted to not do that and instead turn it into more residential. I believe that the condos that are off of Main Street currently were approved for a mixed use building and instead became condos. And I think we've had stuff come up at town meeting as well to approve like a car wash, and we voted against that. So I think if it's something that we're wanting now to encourage more commercial, then that needs to be a message from town staff, select board, planning board, all the various boards and committees, because as a town, we've done the opposite for a long time. And I think this is something that the town should have been working to encourage more commercial versus what we have been doing.
Thank you. Parker?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Before I say the other topic I want to cover too, the story I've been saying is Hopkinton itself, if you go back in history, we absolutely nailed the shoe boom, just crushed it, and had a great amount of development because of that. And then it all burned down. And if you look at our town history from that, we just went into this stasis, this hibernation for 100 years until effectively 495. And by the grace of luck, got EMC. And folks, got news for you. There's not another 495 or EMC coming around. And, we've already missed the biotech boom, so it seems, with attributable office space open, folks are going to go back to closer in downtown. So, we have to look at not only just, what is it that the next opportunity is. I firmly believe, as morbid as it sounds, that opportunity is with baby boomers continuing to retire and potentially pass away, that we need to have more affordable housing. And that is one thing that Lucia and I've talked about, is the need to explore 40Y and the ability for folks like Aniri on the phone to be able to, and folks in town staff and firefighters and police to be able to live in town, and for us to build and have a way for that class of housing. So the entry level price in Hopkinton isn't $800,000. We need to be thinking about zoning for that. And we need to be thinking also about 55 plus, because that's not going to add to schools and allow for folks to be able to come in, bring their potential commercial tax revenue, and also see these different places around town. So I would posit, Matt, that we have to talk about 40Y and affordable housing, that we have to talk about the zoning. And I still want to talk about sidewalks. That was the other third topic I want to, because we should be priming the town continuously in cycles to do and create connectivity. There's no downside to that. And that's all I got for future topics. Thanks.
Cool. Those are some good ideas. 40Y is being picked up by Zach right now, by the way, Parker. So feel free to jump in on some of those meetings. It's probably not going the way that you would hope, though, but feel free to jump in.
I would love to be a pain in the butt there. I'm very good at that.
I'm sorry, Ted. Anyway,
Matthew, through the chair, could I suggest one more future agenda item?
Sure.
I think maybe it could be over 2 meetings, but as a board, we don't usually have dedicated time where we talk about some zoning modifications. And I think us as a board, we should spend a little bit more time, especially because we just reorganized. The new kind of year of our board is underway. The new year of the Zach board is underway. We should talk about potential zoning changes. We want Zach to review, hold public hearings, and bring forward some things. Because I can think of a few things, and we've talked about them as a board, where some of the things don't make sense. Like we previously had a talk about a historic home and zoning. Like, what qualifies as a historic home is a home that's 75 years old. Well, every year that goes by, the percentage of homes in Hopkinton that are 75 years or older goes up. So there is a lot of, I don't know, we don't need to review everything, but there's probably, if everybody reviewed the zoning bylaws, we probably should dedicate some time to say, hey, zoning advisory committee, these are maybe 5 things that kind of come up that we think it'd be good to hold a public hearing on. That would be my agenda item ask.
Okay.
I second that. There's nothing historic about old Colels and CVS. Nothing.
Cool. So that's some good topics. Everybody else, feel free to think about what else we haven't been talking about or that we should be thinking about as we think about, future growth of the town. Feel free to raise it at a future meeting when we have time to talk about future agenda items, or email me or email Aneri and I can talk with Aneri about it to get it on an agenda, or we can talk more about it. But otherwise, unless there's other discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I think I have to move the motion.
Yeah, somebody's got to move it first.
No. Motion to adjourn. Or whatever, for wherever we're at.
Second the motion to adjourn.
Okay. So motion's seconded. So Rob?
Yes.
Elise?
Yes.
Lucia?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Amna?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. And again, Brian, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Hopefully they're exciting meetings and hopefully enjoy your time. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.